Greetings. It is Achot Deidre and Akua. Surprise! We have a guest reader today, and welcome to Shema Anu. As always, as we go into our Shabbat for this Yom Shishi before the sun goes down, the seasons are getting later, so it's daylight long. So as always, giving thanks to the Most High Yah for allowing us to be here for another day. We've just come off of Ramadan. So definitely giving thanks for that period of reflection and fasting, those of us who made it through um, in solidarity with everyone else who is acknowledging this time of year and fasting as well. Also giving thanks to Chief Yuya, the Chief Judna of Anu Life Global Ministry, for allowing us the space on the platform to share our understandings of the Anu Way Foundations. So, as I said, I'm Achot Deidre. Thank you for joining us. And we have a guest reader today, Akua. Introduce yourself.
Greetings. Hi, I'm Ima Akuya, and I am in the stead of Ima Precious for today. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, today, before we get started, as always, we're going to read the preface. So, Akua, will you do us the honor?
Yes, I'll be reading the preface from Anu Way. This book is not to be read only once. Read the words of this book of knowledge aloud. Discuss the convictions of this work with your Anu brothers and sisters. Share the information with your people. This publication should be read daily. Every line in this book can be taken out of context and studied on the strength of its own potential. The truth is to be deliberated.
Thank you so much. So, shalom to our
Shalom.
family in the chat, our mishpacha. Shout out to Ima Sequoia, welcome Naya, welcome Alicia Howard, welcome Des, Peace, Brother Low,
Peace,
and
Brother Low. Yay.
our Wrench, Sister Kashia. You always ready at the ready. Um,
Yes.
so thank you for joining us. So today we are continuing in the section on family, and also continuing so I'll say the area of the Anu Way on family and the section on courtship. So as you'll see, this is part 16 for family. And the section on courtship that we'll be going over is the length of time. So we are going to do our reading and we have a few questions. So I'm going to ask everyone to be at the ready to engage and in on those questions. And as always, if you're joining us afterwards, please put it down in the chat and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And I don't even know because I don't know where it is, but you guys can see it. So, Ema Kuya, will you grace us with the reading for this evening?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Length of time. Courtship should be no shorter than 3 months and no longer than 9 months. It is imperative to court through the seasons. Some people experience periodic changes that ought be witnessed. They may be melancholic in the winter, but during the springtime are euphoric. You should allow yourself at least one seasonal change to transpire during your courtship. If you are unfocused on your courtship goals, the process will be too long. If your courtship is too short, you can be fooled by the enrapturing of a new person and experience. You are spending the rest of your life with this person, and you will be one flesh. If 3 to 9 months of discovery is too much for you to suffer, then you are probably not ready for a long term commitment.
Give thanks. So, with that being said, we're going to introduce the first question of the evening before we start delving into the reading. So, I'm going to ask Ema Kuya to read the first question.
All right. So the first question is, what are some seasonal mood shifts that have or would affect your period of courtship with another?
So, you can read it again, and also we put it down at the bottom the ticker. So for those of you who are coming in a little bit after the fact, there's the question, the first question for this evening.
Oh, did you want me to read the question
Yeah,
again?
yeah.
Okay, okay. What are some seasonal mood shifts that have or would affect your period of courtship with another?
Okay. So get into it. So really, when we're talking about and deliberating on this reading for this evening, what stood out to us is like it kind of comes in two parts. Now, remember, each sentence can stand out on its own and be deliberated on its own. We did a theme with this particular paragraph, and the first part really being about the months, the seasons. I'm sorry, which coincide with the months. So I'm going to begin. Courtship should be no longer than 3 months and no shorter than 3 months and no longer than 9 months. It is imperative to court through the seasons. Some people experience periodic changes that ought to be witnessed. They may be melancholic in the winter, but during the springtime are euphoric. So I'm going to stop right there and then I'll take the last sentence of that first half. So really, as I read this, what stood out to me was the part about the seasonal shifts, and what came up was the SAD, the seasonal affective disorder, right? Whereas a lot of people kind of go into themselves. There's like a depression that sets in the winter months, and they are, they kind of snap out of it in the springtime and summer months. And it can happen in the reverse for some people. Just the mere season can trigger a lot. The kids are playing. They excited.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay. They're not hostages.
No, they're not hostages. They're actually my allies.
Oh, good,
Hmm,
good.
hmm.
Maybe we can bring them in here and like so they can listen to some of this good information, these good gems. So as I was saying, the SAD disorder. So it can be reversed for some people. Just the mere switching of this can trigger emotions. So when we think of the part that says it should be the first sentence, it should be no shorter than 3 and no longer than 9. So when we think about the seasons, you'll at least have one to maybe one and a half of each season in a span of 3 months, right? And so you can see whether how someone experiences that seasonal mood shift. If you do 6 months, you'll get at least 2 to 3 seasons. And if you get 9 months, you'll get at least three or all of them, depending on how you time the 3 months. Because it doesn't mean like you got to start June 1st, you can start June 15th, so you never know. So you can kind of see how someone moves through that interim period and those in between periods between summer, winter, spring, summer, fall. I almost lost my seasons for a second. Winter, spring, summer, fall. So, and it's really important to see how someone does that, because when we think about the next sentence, like that imperative to court through the seasons, you can actually have an idea and grasp, how a person kind of moves, if they present one way when you meet them, and then as you go along and you experience one another through time, whether that representative changes or not, right? So they may be melancholic in the winter, but during springtime, euphoric. So that's a real thing. That's very close to the SAD, the seasonal affect disorder. So you're really thinking about how someone experiences their moods, if they battle with depression or not. And the reason why this is important is because, as I always say, the presence of disease or illness always dawns in the orbit of spirit. So it's not necessary. It doesn't just stop at, oh, it's winter and I'm feeling sad. There's something there. So it really depends on it. It really is important and imperative that during the courtship, this period of discovery, that you kind of dive deep and figure out what the reason for that shift is, because it's deeper than just the seasons. That's just the trigger, if you will. Emma Precious, do you have anything to add?
I'm sorry, let me unmute. I'm Ema Akua, and
Oh, you're right. Oh my goodness.
Ah.
I too. I'm so sorry. All right, you guys on that? No,
I was
Ima
like, oh, did she join us? Wonderful. Um, you know, I just, in just reflecting, in the past relationship that I was in, I was previously married, and we did have seasonal mood swings, and those were things that were recognizable between the two of us, and it is important, um, you know, uh, it's important to, had we courted, previous to us being married, and that would have been seen, recognized, I think it would have changed the course of,
yeah.
it would have changed our course, something to be considered. So
Hmm. Okay, thank you for sharing. That's very deep and personal. So thank you for sharing that.
you're
Um,
welcome.
like a real life and real life anecdotal. Like this is what happened to me. So these
Hmm.
are not to be skipped over. They matter. So I'm just gonna head to the chat really quick. We have some some um new joins since we last acknowledged the chat. So
Okay.
greetings and peace to I don't know if Achot Kashia heard me. So greetings, Achot Kashia, a wrench always holding it down. Peace, Cree. Greetings, Sovereign Eats. She says, Shalom, Anu. Welcome to our new cohort and all guests. Shabbat Shalom. Yes, and I echo that. Welcome to the new cohort. Ladina, welcome. Greetings, Brother Cruz. Des, I'm not sure. Des, okay, sister. She says, peace, everyone. Often at the midpoint and end of semester college, I have a lot of grading and other demands on me that sometimes trickle over and create a lot of stress for me. Right. And so like when we think about like how the seasons move, like when you're in school, it moves from that winter semester, and they name them after the season, winter semester and spring. And and the finals and all that, they're always at the shift of a season. So winter semester actually starts in fall and the finals are in the winter. So you're going into that seasonal shift where you might get stressed out and things like that. And then with the spring semester for college students, you'll probably notice the shift from winter to spring. So even though spring for us, we count spring as the start of a new year, it could get quite stressful for people who are in school. So you see that the idea of that shift, and there's definitely reasons why. So that's thank you for sharing that example. So not sadness, but overwhelmed. Right, well, whatever emotion it trickles, So the example of melancholic versus euphoric is just an example. Like the shift, whatever your mood shift is, what it is. So we have to dive deep into that feeling and what thought, what emotion, and then what thought it comes from, and then that thought comes from the experience, right? So. Brother
Hmm.
Lois laughing. I think because I called you precious. I'm so sorry again.
It's
Brother
okay.
Lois says, old
I
habits.
consider it a compliment.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna get into this. The final sentence for this, that kind of it's like the line of demarcation between the two themes for this paragraph is you should always allow yourself at least one seasonal change to transpire during your courtship. So that is basically the summation of everything we just said. You need to see at least one season because it's generally going to be the kind of marker and the gauge for how someone kind of moves through the time, right? And it's really important that this happens in that season of discovery because this is about compatibility, and there may be questions if you witness something that's a little bit off from what was presented in the first place. And this
Hmm.
period of discovery is the time to do that. And it is also the time, as we said, courtship does not necessarily lead to marriage or necessarily lead to the next step, which is betrothal and then marriage. So then yes, ultimately marriage. Courtship
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily give you an automatic walk down the aisle. So if you recognize something that makes you question compatibility, and this is for a sister or a brother, you might want to step back and say like, what is that? Because this is your period of discovery, and this is that time to talk to one And so this is why, and we've gone over this earlier when we started talking about courtship. That period of discovery, remember, this is court, right? So that honesty, this is why the honesty is important, because if there's honesty from the start, you may be able to kind of even discern like what the reason is for that shift, and it may not necessarily be such a surprise, right? Because you're being open, you're being an open book about a lot of things from the beginning, the body count, whatever traumas you have, and sometimes we don't even acknowledge things that are traumas as traumas. So this is why, when you're getting to know someone, being an open book is important, is key, because you're talking about spending the rest of your life with someone, because we don't do divorce. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
Yes.
any?
Well, yes, I was just going to reflect on what Sister Des said in terms of her being overwhelmed. And another thing that comes up, that's one thing that would come up in discovery. But what does your overwhelm look like? Is it an outburst? How do you, how do you respond? When someone is talking to you, are you crazy? So those are things. And then I'm going to ask you about that. And then we would or the person you're recording with would probably ask you about that, and then want to know, if you're even willing to work on that. Are you comfortable, with continuing carrying yourself, in an overwhelmed manner? Can you modify that, or can you work on that so that you won't be so overwhelmed every season? So
Mhm.
um, yeah.
Yeah. So with that,
Hmm.
we have the second question, right?
Yes. And the second question is, excuse me, I'm reading from a paper, everyone. What do you think would be the length of your courtship? 3, 6, or 9 months, and why? And don't forget to answer the first question. But again, the second question is, what do you think would be the length of your courtship? 3, 6, or 9 months, and why? And I'll go ahead and read the next half. If you are unfocused on your courtship goals, the process will be too long. If your courtship is too short, you can be fooled by the entrapping of a new person and experience. You're spending the rest of your life with this person and you will be one flesh. If 3 to 9 months of discovery is too much for you to suffer, then you're probably not ready for a long term commitment. And what I gathered from that, I really, the first instance, if you're unfocused on your courtship goals, the process will be too long. And I just began to think about time, time just really, aside from seasonal, but I just thought about time. And in On the Way, it would state, there's a set time for something, or during this time, there's something happening, and opportunity with, you have an opportunity which has everything to do with time. And so courtships are within a prescribed time, and you have to be cognizant of it. And so in that, you need to remain focused. And if when you're unfocused, you're not able to see things very clearly. So, and when you can't see things very clearly, you're slowing the progression. And when you slow the progression, that can allow things to enter into the courtship that shouldn't, or you might be missing, things that need to be addressed that come up in discovery. So, and so part of, I was thinking of tools that it could be used to keep you focused and keep you on track. And one of them, I believe, has been spoken in previous talks about having an elder or a jegna that's assisting you along the way, guiding you along the way. And then you also have checkpoints, or you have specific milestones, where do we want to be at, in the third month, or where do we want to be at in the 6th month? I made reference to, I was reading in Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, and I was studying on Nile in Kenya, and upon the what is it, a proposition, when you upon the papers being put in, um, within 2 months time they were able to they a lot of discovery came up and they were able to learn a lot about one another than they had within the year that they had known one another. So and that was very telling of how focused they were. And then I compared that to the relationship with Tom and Sheba, and actually they didn't go through any type of courtship, and that was very telling. And I'll move forward with that. Um, so the next sentence says, if your courtship is too short, you can be fooled by the entrappings of a new person and experience. So again, when I think of referring to Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, which is an excellent book, um, there's a relationship between Tom and Sheba, and um, there, I don't know what it was. There really wasn't. They did obviously they didn't go through a courtship. They had no courtship at all. Um, and when they first their first engagement was on social media, and they text or they talked on the phone or they did a lot of messaging, and then they one day decided, okay, let's meet up. And then when they met up, Tom, kind of grabbed Sheila into his arms and embraced her, and she just, fell into his loving arms, and she and this is what is this word here? I'm sorry, you guys. She was enraptured. She was enraptured. Tom threw an irresistible spell on her. She was very enchanted, and from that, she said, you'll find in the book it says, I could work with this, you know, and then Tom was, what did it say Tom was? I'm sorry, I can't remember what it says. Tom was, let me look in the book. I don't know. He was enthralled. He was enthralled. So they're going based on feelings off of a hug, and then he's impressed with her conversation. Yeah.
Well,
And then he's impressed with the conversation. So,
we find
and
out
then,
that they
I'm
didn't
sorry,
discover,
sis.
because we find out later they didn't discover what they were supposed to.
Yes,
We're not
there was
gonna give it
there was no discovery. The
go by
discovery
the book.
happened. I'm sorry, sis. I can't hear you.
And
What'd
we're
you
not gonna
say?
give too much of it go
Oh,
too much. Say go by the book.
well, okay. The point is there was no courtship. There was
Right.
no courtship, and there was no discovery, and so it confirms that if your courtship is too short, you can be fooled by the entrappings of a new person and experience, So, and that experience cannot just be a hug, that experience, have you ever heard of, being sprung? We know the other experiences, that go down, and you can
I
be sprung, off of somebody. So,
mm-hmm.
and
They're
you're fooled.
saying that, if you want to get over one person, and go in another direction with another.
Yes.
But yeah, but that's an example of that kind of mentality. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in a previous Shema, Ima Precious gave the example of, when that new experience, like if you're giving away the cookies, you kind of like you cut off the the an authentic way to get to know someone, and then you just kind of stumble into the rest. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely related. We you know same
Yes.
thing, different words. So these are,
Yes.
this
Yes.
message.
Yes. So I just want to, follow it up with something else. In a different paragraph of courting, it says, if you allow feelings of elation to cloud your judgment and rely on assumptions, you will waste the court's time. Which brings me back to when I mentioned, about time. Time is important. We have to be cognizant of it. And, what are we spending? What are we spending our time doing?
Mm-hmm.
So,
We yeah,
um,
talked about that. It's our most precious commodity, and how much of us have wasted it.
yes, yeah. So, moving along, you are spending the rest of your life with this person and you will be one flesh. If 3 to 9 months of discovery is too much for you to suffer, then you are probably not ready for a long term commitment. And just what I gathered from that is, and this is just following that sentence when it, when it says when you get entrapped. So sometimes you can in the marriage that I was in, we were enthralled. We were enthralled and we were enraptured. And um and uh and then we got married. And then in the marriage is when discovery took place. And I'll say it wasn't long. It wasn't long into the marriage when I realized, this is I should not have done this. This is not where this is not where I should be. And but again, here it says, if you cannot suffer 3 to 9 months of discovery, then you probably aren't ready for a long-term commitment, which I wasn't. So
You
yeah.
stumbled through it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So would you say like that structured 3 to 6 to 9 months would have been useful and would have
I
been
would
helpful?
I would say within the first 30 days I would have known, like, oh, I
Oh,
mean, you know,
so lesson.
yeah. Well, hindsight is 2020. So if I knew then what I knew now, we probably wouldn't even have a conversation.
Well, so this is why I have that period of discovery, right?
Mhm.
And because so kind of taking it back to earlier in the paragraph, like allowing yourself that at least one seasonal change to transpire. And the first sentence, it being not shorter than 3 months, right? Because there's
Yes.
all a level of
Right. Yes.
we approach things with. Because this whole point, like, so when we sum up like this paragraph, like allowing that seasonal shift and putting that 3 month to 9 month kind of structured timestamp on it, it allows for you to make a decision if this is something
Mhm.
you want to deal with or not. And for men, like women are receptacles, so and
Mhm.
directions, so that can be shifted. Not so much
Yes.
the other way, not
Mhm.
much. Like we don't direct the men.
Mhm.
Not what we do. We can be
Right.
water, and and
Mhm.
what we're good at, right? We can be water.
Mhm.
So when it comes to having that structured time period and being like at minimum 3 months, that kind of gives you that time to have like a compassionate response. If it's something that
Mhm.
huh? Having a compassionate response, or and deciding if it's something you need to change,
Mhm.
or you can figure out how to evolve and grow with that. So yeah, I'm gonna head over to the chat because we got
Yeah, I
some.
see a lot going on over here.
Yeah. um, so Brother Lowe says, and greetings, email precious. You were missed. Brother Lowe says, I would say 6 to 9 months because there are a lot of questions to ask and observations to make. Exactly.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Brother Cruz says, some seasonal mood shifts for me would be more in the area of dismissal around the entrance of winter or more personal communication due to more workloads for the close of the year. Um, so is it like being happy, just for clarity, being happy that winter is over and those kind of darker, more internal months are over, and and also kind of happy that like the workload is going to be loosened soon, or is it stressful until it's loosened? So if you could elaborate on
Sounds like he's saying like he's more dismissive entering into the winter months. I don't
that,
know.
like a whatever. Like
Yeah, like,
if you could
I ain't
clarify
trying to hear you right now.
that, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, that's important to know. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so if
Yeah,
if you're more dismissive, what does that mean? That means, what if there's something that needs to be addressed, and so you don't care now because you're not feeling well. So I
yeah,
would, yeah, that's
yeah,
something to, and that's a good thing to come up in discovery, and
yeah,
and to be addressed. Like, I noticed that you're a little dismissive. Is something going on? Is there something that I did that maybe made you uncomfortable, or anything going on at work, or so.
yeah. Be water. Yeah. We can ask, yeah, because we have to think like, so how does that exhibit on the external?
Yes.
How do those outside of yourself, how are they receiving that? And so, but then for those of us who are on the receiving end, this is where the compassionate response comes in, you know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So Des says, hmm, I don't know. I just did something.
That
Des,
seems like a. You want me to read it?
yeah, yes, please, because
Okay.
I'm please.
So Des says, that seems like a tough question for me right now. I think I would definitely know by 6 months, but I'd stretch it to 9 months out of fear, maybe.
Well,
Okay. I mean, if you need it,
yeah, but then
but by 9, you're gonna, you wanna, the two of you will figure out if you're gonna move to betrothal or not, so. And would he be willing, would the brother be willing to stretch it,
mm-hmm,
maybe there's something that he sees that you aren't getting and he doesn't want to make it, waste any more time, because remember, time is of the essence. We have to be cognizant of time, you know and some things may be deal breakers by 6 months. So,
right.
and then this also is letting you know if you're ready for a union.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, one thing that we didn't talk about, you just reminded me,
Hmm.
um, these are also going to be those two who are in courtship will be guided by authorities and
Oh
judges,
yes, that's
right?
right. Yep. Hmm.
So when because we had this conversation, it was like, well, who determines like how long it's going to be? And so we kind of came up with, well, it's going to be the man, but
That's
it
right. Mhm.
be the elders.
Yes.
For a second, it'll be the elders that are kind of guiding and seeing this along as you go through courtship. So again, that period of discovery. So if there's fear there, why is there fear?
Hmm.
Have has the basis for those fears, or have the base for those fears been disclosed? Because that will have come out like with the honesty, right? With that releasing. Ima Sequoia says, I've been mated for a long time now, but if we went through the courtship process, I think the length would have been 9 months. Okay. If you want, we're kind of early on in the question, so if you already answered why, that's fine. But
Hmm.
please feel free to share why. Um, Achot Kashia says, I would say at least 9 months or so. As stated in the Anu Way, there are 3 stages of courting, and if all the stages are gone through, each stage must be fleshed out to learn the other. So, okay, so Achot Kashia says she needs 9 months to flesh out the courtship. And keep in mind, like we said, like, this will be, elders will be kind of seeing this along. And then also, like, but if the other person has decided, like, yeah, well, something was a deal breaker, you may not get to those 9 months. So I would even say, like, it's, put it all on the table and the best foot forward and be willing to be receptive and change, like, in those first 3 months, you know? Um, Brother Cruz says, I would prefer not to rush a courtship so that I can be sure that we both cover all areas needed to determine compatibility. Yeah, because you might want
Hmm.
to work together.
Hmm.
Um, Lifetime ahead, there's no need to rush. Good point. Good point. Sovereign Eats says, lack or low levels of vitamin D will make my winter. Okay, so this is the first question. Lack or
Okay.
low vitamin D will make my winter energy a bit low at times. This, I realize, can probably affect the energy of others. We're talking about like
Mm.
how do people outside of you recognize that seasonal shift, right? And then how they react. And so there sometimes will be the need for that compassionate response to things, but then getting to the bottom of why. Did you have something to add? You like you want to say something?
I'm sorry. I'm reading Des. I'm reading what Des said. I'm trying to understand that this. She was saying something out of description, so I'm like, "What?" I'm laughing right now.
Right. You're like, uh-huh.
I'm sorry, guys.
Okay, you gonna take the next questions, the next comment.
Sure. Des says, at Sister Akua's description of the woo. Okay. And then Abba Cruz says, can we do the work of the Almighty through all the seasons? Was that a question? Was it rhetorical or was it a joke? Was it a funny? I'm not understanding that question. But well, he says, will pressure burst out of pipes due to the various portals of life in addition to the life altering calculations of the people from heaven?
These are quotes from the Anu Way.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, what? What are you saying? I'm sorry. Forgive
Like
me, brother.
I know those writings. Like
Like,
very
what?
fast.
Yeah.
Like those are cheap Yuyan words.
Okay,
Those
I'm like, you going deep, bro. Abba, you going
are
deep.
yes, we could take that and deliberate. Like, can we do work of
Okay.
the Almighty through all the seasons?
Mm.
Goes back to Abba Cruz's comment, like time. We
Yeah.
can't. We're no. So you do need time for a period of discovery. And the time is relative. For some people, 3 months is enough, but others, like 9 months, they're gonna take the fullness of what they can take, which is totally fine. Um,
Hmm.
so, all right, go ahead. You got the next one.
Oh, okay. I'll move to sovereign eats. I would say 9 months is an appropriate length. I think of the gestation period and the courtship is meant to birth a full understanding of the other person. That's really good. I didn't think of that way. I'm thinking of the gestation period, full
Mm-hmm.
development, full
Mm-hmm.
development. Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's
Nine
good.
months um,
Hmm.
form of
Yes.
human.
Yeah. Yes. Human.
Sometimes they come in 7 or 8. Sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Sovereign eats always goes deep. I love it.
Right. What was it? Last strong. Not the last strong, but the strong before that. It was the women. Must know the man's mind.
Hmm.
Know the man's heart, and the men get to know our minds. So yes, and they're always good reminders. Ima Sequoia says mood shifts, winter, introspection, self love. Spring, lots of sharing with others. Summer, fun, communing. Fall, hardworking. Um,
Mm.
those are your mood shifts. Okay,
Mm.
let me see. Because I haven't shared mine. You know what? I don't know. The winter. I don't know. I don't. Well, I don't get sad, but it's just internal. I'm sure there is a mood shift.
I definitely
I
have
don't know
mood
if
shifts in here.
I, but I'm not. I
But
like.
but also I'm pretty outdoorsy during the winter as well. I like to be outdoors in the
I
winter. California winter is nice, so.
Yeah. See, I'm on the East Coast, so like it's cold over here. So it's like yeah, naturally
Hmm.
I'm gonna be inside, um, but I still like to do things.
Hmm.
um, but I don't know if I could.
Spring sharing.
You know what? Yeah, spring. But you know what? I do get spring fever. I know that. So if that's the case,
Mm-hmm.
I must be a little bit more like introspective and introverted, like in the winter. Because like
Hmm.
spring and the summer, I do want to be outside. Don't get me wrong, I will hesitate sometimes when it's hot, but like being that we are coming off of a year of confinement, being outside has been like the best thing going.
Hmm.
So I love to be outside, like and to just
Right.
I just need to go outside. So
Hmm.
and so maybe I am that melancholy versus euphoric.
Hmm.
Euphoric. I'm just, or maybe it is. I don't know.
Ema says summer fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of my fun, I like the summer, but for some reason, I don't. That's not when I have most of my fun. I have most of my fun during spring and fall, and part of winter. But summer is hot. I don't like to be outdoors all the time or a certain part of the day. So,
But
but
how's
I hmm,
but how's your mood?
mm, I can't recall. Well, we'll see. We'll see this summer. So far, so good. We'll see this summer. I
Yeah.
can't recall. And then
Okay.
fall. How about you?
You know what? When you said fall and spring, I do prefer the transition seasons. So like the mild seasons, so spring and fall, I do prefer because I always look at winter and summer as very extreme. Um,
Mm,
it's extreme cold and extreme heat. So I'm not necessarily a fan of either.
mm.
So I could see how my mood could shift just because I'm annoyed that it's so hot and I can't walk outside without sweating.
Oh, this was good, Emma Sequoia.
Yeah. Sovereignty says, well, at least to understand if you're a match. Oh, okay. So wait.
Hmm.
Gestation for courtship is meant to birth full understanding of the other person, at least to understand if you're a match. Yes. It's the period of discovery because courtship is part of the process of mating, and
Hmm.
mated is to be matched with someone,
Yes.
to be matched, and not saying equal because we're like I'm gonna say it again. We're inherently different. Men and women are inherently different. So we're not going to be equal to a man, and a man is not going to be equal to a woman. We're matched. We're complementary pieces, hand in glove, male and female, wall socket plug. Like that.
Yes. You helping me out. You helping me out.
Okay. All right. So we got some more comments. So Des says, actually, I'm changing my answer. That makes a lot of sense to me, Sister Kashia. Oh, I must have skipped something.
What did she say?
She
Yeah.
said, oh, because Sister
Oh,
Kashia
how long? She
said at
prefers
least,
9 months. Yeah.
yeah.
And she's looking
Uh,
at the stages.
right. Um, so greetings, Sister Maxine. Shabbat Shalom. She says 9 months, most people are on their best behavior. Most people are on their best behavior for the first few months. That's true. That could be true. Um, Barbara Cruz says more dismissive. Closes the discussion.
Okay.
Thank you. Um, you want to take that because I think I lost it again.
Okay. So then, Kashia says peace to Sister Shamanique, peace, Sister Kashia. Des, I get it. Student demands at the end of the semester leave me with little empathetic energy left. Okay. And Des, while you're reflecting, I think it's good that you're reflecting on that. So now how you want to, that what you need to be mindful of, as you enter into a courtship,
Mm.
or you can work on those things and get those mood swings and energy levels resolved by then. So, this constant renovation, reformation. So if it's something that you recognize about yourself now, then it's something you can work on. Then, you know, not to worry. Um, Sister Kashia says, absolutely give thanks for the wisdom. Um, Abba Cruz, that lifetime ahead quote came from Chifuya. Okay. Kashia says, winter, withdrawn and hardworking, receiving, spring, summer, fall, active, social, doing, emitting. Okay. Okay. Where do you emitting? Um, Maxine, I have to prepare myself for winter. I'm much less social and focused on working myself. Summer is my season. It could be the climate I'm in as well. Okay. Is it your season to produce? Is it your season where you're euphoric? Sovereign Eat says the West Coast resident, of course, fall would be good. Yes, it always is. You know. Uh,
You know what? Since
uh,
we're at the season, yeah, I don't fancy running from fires. So no.
fires are in the summertime.
I
Yeah, you know what? The fires are pretty bad in the summer. See, that's what I'm like. I don't really get out during the summer. I do, I'll take a one or two trips, but because I like to, be outdoors. So, and by 11 o'clock, it's pretty warm. So maybe more evening things to do. I mean, I'm gonna skip because I see a lot of LOLs. Okay, that's it. LOLs, yes, emitting the wisdom received. Okay. Aha, aha. Kashia says at the end.
yeah. So
Okay.
Sequoia says, I'm glad I got a lot out of California before the droughts. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Shalom, Sister Munira. Thank you for joining.
Shalom, shalom.
Yeah, so today, we really wanted to go over length of time and why it was important. There's that seasonal shift reason, and also, whether it's 3 or 6 or 9 months, and like what takes place in 3 or 6 or 9 months is very structured. We had as we were preparing, remember Ima Kuya, we were talking about Nile and Kenya, also
Mm-hmm.
and like there was a point where they were doing the work, right? Most times you meet a potential partner when you're doing the work, not just like sitting out there like in the middle of the road. Well, I guess if somebody comes up and slap me in the face, I'll just go date them, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no, you have to be doing the work. And so we learned that like they were doing the work for a while before they started courting. And so
Yes.
really good example of how a courtship can be timed, because there's kind of like, what do you call it, like a pre-courtship. Like if you're doing the work, there's a lot that happens. There's a period of discovery when you're doing work with someone, you get to know someone. So that could be an example of how a courtship need only be 3 months, because
Mm-hmm.
you kind of had that period of discovery um
Mm-hmm.
already because you were doing the work.
Mm-hmm. Two things I'd like to include. I was reading in
Hmm.
complimentary. No, complementarity, excuse me. And it says one other definite conclusion can be drawn from the collective revolutionary experience about the initial meeting that takes place between two potential complements that lead to the development of lasting warrior relationships. They both tend to be doing their work when they first meet. And then as you mentioned, it talks about that in solutions for dysfunctional families. And before Niall actually requested for courtship, he had contemplated that they had been doing the work for a year,
Hmm.
and in watching Niall, or in observing Niall, and there was discovery in that. He, I guess, sparked his interest. But then moving on into discovery, they what they discovered about themselves is that the work repressed personal issues that they had. So courtship was really important to get the work. Let's get all the busyness out the way, and
Yeah.
let's really deal with what's going on within. So yeah, we could do the work. We're good at the work, but what are we, how are we good in terms of ourselves? Do we know how to work our issues out? So
Some of
mhm,
us will just let work bury what other
yes,
are there. That is very true. Hmm.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't like, oh, I'm just gonna replace it with this. I'm gonna busy myself, you know. And so,
yes,
and then sometimes when you're busying yourself and you can present one way because you're doing all this work, but like there's all these bugs and cockroaches under your little rug.
ooh, bugs and cockroaches. Oh,
And I
fumigate.
stuff.
Yes.
Good fumigating, right? All out in the open, watch them scatter.
Yes. Yes. Um, Abba Cruz says, "Thank you for this dialogue, sisters. The seasonal shifts really remind us of the need to court ourselves." Hmm.
Fumigate. Mm-hmm.
Fumigate,
Mm-hmm.
or mothering yourself, or
Right.
fathering yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
giving yourself that self love that you need. Hmm.
It's
Grow.
mental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm not good at that.
I'm enjoying myself. Thank
That's
you
it.
so much for having me today.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay, so I think that's probably all the questions. Give thanks to everyone for engaging. It was busy. It was busy.
Hmm.
You know?
Hmm.
Yes, that's great. I think you know why they ate.
Oh yeah, they ain't hangry no more. They not hangry anymore.
That's what it is. They ate. I get it. I see you. Mm-hmm. These virtual spaces. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Y'all full. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
full.
Yeah. Happy. Okay. Well, we are happy too. So give thanks for and busting. Give thanks for everyone and engaging in the chat. So if you haven't already, make sure you download your copy. Oh, do that of the Anu Way. We are, and you can keep up. You can download it. It is digital and it is free. It is for free, $40.99. Um, and it's really it'll be good to like be able to keep up and keep time, and read the words yourselves. There's a different experience when you're actually seeing the words on the page. So make sure you visit www.anulifeglobal.org to download your copy of the book. You can also see where to purchase copies of other works by Chief Yuya Noir Male, Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships. Boom. Um, 14 keys.
Oh, wait.
Boom. You'd have not Noir Male. No. Noir
I
Male.
don't, but I have this
And
one.
Grass in the Roots. Boom.
And
Okay.
then shout out to a recommended book, complementary, but it has a lot to do with relationships and things.
Mm-hmm.
Chief recommended that book.
Okay. Great. Okay. So give thanks for everyone. You get to like, let me see. Okay, good. Very good. Okay, good. Okay. Because maybe we should start like, I'm gonna stop this right now if you don't get those likes. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Okay. Give thanks for everyone for engaging. And we will see you next strong. The brothers will be rejoining next strong, talking about communication in courtships. So for everyone, be well. Enjoy going into the Sabbat. Yes, Dr. Baruti for the
Yes.
Complementarity by Dr. Mwalimu Baruti. So give thanks. So Toda, thank you for
Toda.
this time.
Thank you.
And I forgot what I was gonna say. No, I just forgot how to. Okay, Lila Tov.
Okay.
My whole brain just dropped. Said you do it. Lila Tov, everyone. Peace. Thank you for joining us.
Peace.